Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stelezzi here with an Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition Age of the World mod Civ overview for the Zulu Civ. I wanted to do these for a good number of months, but I knew that Kados was working on a patch for them, aka the 2.0 alpha that we have now, that was going to add new units and cards and rework them a bit. So now that that's finally out, I feel like I can do the overview and not have any of the information be obsolete. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So now I'm going to go over the Zulu cards and home city with you, and then we're going to look at the gameplay a little bit against an AI, just so you can sort of understand, alright, this is how the Zulu function and how I would use them in a realistic game. Overall, there are a lot of references towards Liberty Zulu, as you'll find, but by no means is it a clone of it. Far from it, actually. This Civ is highly designed off of the African culture that Definitive Edition added, while adding little bits of Wars Liberty Zulu and little bits of its own identity. So we'll see what exactly that means as we look through the cards first and then the gameplay. Here we are looking at the cards. Don't focus on the deck right now, it's not important. We'll just focus on the cards right now. So this is the Age 1 selection of cards. You obviously got all your infinite resource crates, which you usually do as Africans. Your food, your wood, your coin, and your influence. You also get this cool cattle here called the Nguni cattle. Nguni cattle is basically cattle you can gather for food, right? And there's actually multiple types of cows that the Zulu get. The Nguni is the food-based one, so basically what you can do is you can fan them up and eat them, or just like with the other African civs in Definitive Edition, you can just hold on to them and then sell them off for wood or gold at the sort of livestock and variant that the Zulu gets. It's a little bit different with the Zulu, as you'll find out, but kind of the same concept. You got your native lore. This is a pretty standard card, so I don't really need to go too deep into that one. Same with Pioneers. This one, though, Sacrificial Slaughters. Basically, all of your herdables except for the Amasi cows. Amasi cows are another cow that the Zulu get that gives you coin. That's like the second one. It's like a milk-providing cow. The Nguni is your one that you get meat from, and then the Amasi is the one that you get your milk from, so you're not really killing it, you're just milking it constantly. Literally milking it, yeah, literally milking the cow. Moo! So yeah, basically this takes really all of your food herdables and exchanges them for a large amount of XP, and then it actually returns the shipment to you that you spent on the card. So you can only gain from it, right? Because obviously if it didn't return a shipment to you, it would be kind of a risk, you know? If you did the ability with too little animals, you might end up in a situation where you lose your current shipment, and then you only get a marginal amount of XP. But the way this card is designed is, it can only help you. It can only help you get more XP towards another shipment, right? Obviously, do not run this until you get a good amount of herdables, so that you might actually get a second or third shipment maybe, but yeah, no, it's got safeties in place to make sure you don't mess it up, which I think is pretty cool, so yeah. Also, you got your advanced trading pose here. You got your advanced agriculture, standard of all the African civs. Now, for the Zulu, they don't have the granary. They get the grain crawl, but it's sort of the same idea pretty much, right? You got Ngungu drums, allows Shaka, your explorer, to use the Ngungu drums, temporarily increasing attack and movement speed of units around them. Which I believe we've seen similar abilities to that with the House, I believe, in Definitive Edition. So that's pretty nice. And advanced port. You got ports that have a greater attack. This is a standard one, so I won't go over that one too much. Mulberry cattle feed. Massively increases the rate of which cattle fatten and when tasked to a grain crawl or herbalist market. That's pretty cool, huh? Yep, basically this allows your herdables to fatten up very, very quickly. very quickly. Muy rápido, actually. So if you are playing heavily into your herdables, which you probably should as Zulu, this is one you probably want to consider, usually. Yep. Got your fish market, sawmills, ironmonger, bush burning. You got your wood crafting, charity, and furrier. These are all standard cards in general, or standard cards we've seen with other African civs and vanillas, so there's no really any reason to go over those ones. But now we're on to age 2. You got your 4 villagers shipping here. These are just like any ordinary villager, except they're skinned to be more part of the Zulu civ, or Southern African civs, pretty much. You got your crates here, 600 food, 700 food, 600 wood, 700 wood, and then your coin ones, same as your influence ones. This is the first infinite shipment we have for a Nguni prize bull. Basically, this is a Nguni cow that you can fan for food, but it's a big one, so it's a lot more valuable to have. Yep. Obviously, if you're going to be playing into herdables, it's probably recommended that you use some of these cards so you can add a lot more herdable stuff into your economy, so you can sell some of them off, you can trickle them for influence, you can eat them. Herbables for Africans, as you know, regardless of the civ, are a very flexible commodity to utilize, right? Yeah, so now we're on to the interesting thing. This is the thing that might remind you of Wars of Liberty Zulu. The matriarch. You remember these from Wars of Liberty, right? Basically the women that would spawn youths, and then the youths would obviously, like the Zerglings in StarCraft, turn into other units, right? Now, the matriarchs, they take a bit of the middleman out. And what I mean by that is Zulu in Age of the World do not have the youth mechanic. They've sort of removed that middleman from the system. So what these matriarchs do is they will allow you to produce units for free over time, and you get to choose which unit that is. So they're basically unit churning factories, right? And there's about 2 ways you can get them. You can get them through cards in the home city, or if you build a town center called an Akanda that you have as a Zulu, you'll get a free one from that. But overall, in the long haul, you're going to be getting most of your matriarchs through the home city, because that's just how you're going to build up the numbers faster. But yeah, so you got a few options. You got this big shipment here of 3 matriarchs, giving you more long-term growth. And then you have the infinite 1 matriarch card here. If the game is very, very, very long, and you've burned through these bigger matriarch cards, it's usually recommended you have this one. Also, if you are going to run into a situation where your matriarchs might get destroyed, having the infinite option is good, because it's probably going to be your most reliable way of recovering the numbers gradually. Right. Now, just as a reminder, you do not need matriarchs to win the game, but they will help you to win the game by a big amount, because, well, simply put, you're going to be getting a ton of free units which you can control. And yeah. And should I mention, you can also make villagers with them too. So you don't just have to do military, you can make villagers with them, which is quite nice. These are some of those Amasi cows that I was talking about, the ones that you milk. You literally milk these cows for milk, so you don't actually kill these cows. You're literally gathering coin from them when you sell the milk, right? You can get this big shipment of 3 here one time, or you can get this infinite shipment here too. So if you want to play heavily into herdables, which again I recommend with Zulu, you have that option there. You get your team native weapon trade to up your native build limit. Fencing school, riding school. Amadorosi reduces the cost of towers and increases their hit points, so turtling is now cheaper and stronger. Very nice. 3 trade builders, standard card. Abafanzi allows the Sangoma hut to heal nearby units and allows 2 more to be built. Very nice, huh? Mass levies, 2 camp builders. And I should mention to you, by the way, the unique mechanic for Zulu to get more influences by training units. So when all the Zulu units has a influence bounty as well as an XP XP bounty when you're training them. So let's just say you make a villager, you're going to gain 10 influence as a bounty for training that villager. So the more units you train as Zulu, the more influence you build up over time. Just thought I'd point that out. Yeah. You got Trade Empire, Healers, Rendering Plant, Spice Trade, Medicine, Agricultural Rituals. This is basically just a farming upgrade similar to Sustainable Agriculture. Uvulukawagle increases the rate at which villagers gather from corrals. It's like a second Sustainable Agriculture. You'll notice in Age of the World, a lot of these civs will have multiple gather rate cards for the same building in ages other than 3, which is the case here. And then you get Italese, increases the rate at which villagers gather from herbalist markets. So, if you haven't noticed yet, the kraal is your food building, and the herbalist market is your gold building. And the herbalist market is interesting because it doubles as both for your plantation and a market. So it has all the market techs and the trading there as well. So, yeah, kind of interesting. The only type of trading it doesn't have is the herdable one, which you would use the kraal for, actually. So, yeah, it gets a little complicated because it's similar to the Native American farms where you have both the herdables and the vills on the same building. So, yeah, gotta be aware of that. You got your Desert Warrior shipment there. Definitely a pretty good outlaw for most African civs to get it. Battle canoes, improved warships, European cans. And then you get some other shipments here, more military. Recruit 8 swashbucklers. These are basically a native unit, but you've seen these on the maps, right? Basically they're a sword-based unit. You should probably consider getting this if you plan on getting enough influence to afford it, because it can be a nice supplementary unit that doesn't cost any sort of, I don't think they cost population if I last checked, but I could always check again. Basically, they're a nice add-on to add to your regular army. You got Assegays here. These are basically Zulu musketeers. What I mean by that is basically they have a melee attack against cavalry, and then they just have a regular range attack. Instead of obviously shooting a musket, they're going to throw spears at you. Pretty similar to the Wars of Liberty Impy unit. And the Impies are here, by the way, but they were changed a bit. A fleet-footed warrior armed with the Konob Kariba Club, effective against cavalry and in mass. So it's actually not a shock unit. It's actually a heavy infantry that does a bit of splash attack. And it also does quite a bit of damage. So, yeah, it's like a more elite alternative to like a pikeman, basically. So it's very powerful, right? And then you also get this card here, Ishulunga. Zulu shield-bearing units, Asige, Impi, and Ibuthus gain more hit points and absorb some of the incoming damage to nearby units. So, yep, it gains a bit of deflection, gains a lot of HP as well. Then you do get some standard infantry upgrade cards here too. Then foreign accommodations. This one is a bit complicated, so I'll explain it. The Zulu build huts for their allies. Bosoto scouts and Corona horsemen no longer cost population, but have a build limit of 12 each. So, Zulu works a bit differently than most civs regarding cavalry. They do get access to cavalry, which, you know, in Wars of Liberty was a bit complicated because they had to, like, build a special structure for it and everything. Zulu can train cavalry directly through a stable, but it's considered to be foreign cavalry, so they actually cost influence. There's sort of 2 ways you can go about making them. You can either have it so that they are regular units, so that they cost population, but you can have as many of them as you want, or you can run this card, which will turn them into sort of native units and set them at a build limit of 12 each. So depending on what your usage of cavalry is, you might want to not send this if you need larger numbers of cavalry to get your objectives done, but if you don't need large numbers of cavalry but you'd still like to use them, I recommend this, because then you can have more infantry and siege units and then have the cavalry play a supporting role. See what I mean there? And I haven't checked it yet, but I would presume that this card, the Team Native Weapon Trade, would increase their build limit further, since it is trading them from a regular unit to like a sort of a native unit. So that I would watch out for as well, basically, yeah. Alright, and so here we are with cavalry damage. Since you do get cavalry, you do get cavalry-related combat cards as well. Alright, moving forward to age 3. You got your 1,000 food, your 1,000 wood, and your 1,000 coin, your 1,000 influence. This is like a bigger shipment of Nguni cattle, should you want to use them. I do recommend use herdables. I'm just going to keep saying that. Use herdables with Zulu, it's a great idea. Town center builder. 5 matriarchs. Yeah, as you go up in age, the cards for the matriarchs get better and better. So this will, again, add 5 units that will effectively allow you to train units for free. And do remember that matriarchs do not cost any population themselves, so you could really get as many of them as you want, you know what I mean? Don't worry about having like 10 or 20 matriarchs. Get as many as you can. They're just going to make more and more of your military free, right? Less resources for you to spend, and more that you can put into like research, aging up, advancing your troops, whatever that might be. Adding natives in. Yeah, no, this sets you up really good, basically. Really good. I will note, though, now, before we get into it later, the matriarchs do not make your foreign cavalry units, so they only focus really on your primary infantry stuff. Yep, they don't make any cavalry, and they don't make any sort of, like, artillery or siege-based weapons either, because that would be a little bit wonky, so, yeah. Now we got Amasi Milk. Increases all infantry's hit points and villagers even more. So, infantry, 20% increase in HP. Quite good, actually. But vills, they go up by 50% HP. So, it's kind of like an amalgamation between pioneers and an infantry hit point upgrade. So, quite good, actually. Yeah. Native treaties, native warriors, native warrior combat, Lobola. Ships a matriarch for every 3 bovines that you currently own. Basically, every 3 herdables that you have on the field. I don't know if it's specifically cows or can it be any sort of herdable. It will add a free matriarch to your base. Thus, if you're going heavily into the herdables, which you should be doing, this will be a good way to reward that with more free units. Yeah. Moving along, we got Feudal Armies, which is a standard African card. Same with the healers. First Fruit Ceremony increases the rate at which villagers gather from corrals by 25%. So basically, an H3 farming upgrade. Herbal Remedies increases the rate at which Zulus gather from herbalist markets by 15%. So a gold-related one. You also have Loyal Warriors, Battle Canoes, Cannon Boat, Recruit Wardau, canoe crafting. So these are more natives that you can ship in, the colonial oppressors and the colonial looters. Yep, and just going a bit ahead, the colonial swashbuckler would be in age 4 for an infinite shipment. So yeah, basically I recommend you have all 3 of these in your deck because these units are all, as far as I know, pop free. So you can just add them onto your regular army and they'll be a good support in general and supplement your force. It's pretty good, actually. It's really good because, as you know, they're basically outlaw units, so they do quite a bit of decent stats. So if you get them as like an add-on for a unit that normally costs more than the average population, that's quite good. Yeah, so I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it if I were you. Yeah. But moving along, got cattle offerings. The Swazi and the Nguni send a huge amount of cattle if their alliances have been researched. If only one of the alliances has been researched, only that tribe will send cattle. Very important. Also, you got 9 assegay shipment, 8 assegay shipments, so these are basically musketeer shipments, pretty much. Gun purchase turns all your assegays into musket warriors. That'll be important a bit later, as we're going to see. Impies here and impies here, so sort of like halberdier cards in sort of a weird way. And then we got Ibothus, warrior armed with a deadly spear, good against cavalry and buildings. So these are sort of your pikemen. These are your pikemen. Musket warriors would be your skirmishers, right? So you get a 7 skirmisher, and then you get an infinite 5 skirmisher shipment with the 5 musket riders. Then you get an infantry combat. You get 2 Basutha scouts and adds 300 influence to the cost of this card. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So basically they are infinite shipments, but they grow in cost over time. Yeah, interesting. So this one's a little bit better, but it becomes more costly than this one does. So I would definitely look at that for sure. You got Basotho ponies. All cavalry train faster and have their attack, hit points, and movement speed increase. Overall, it's really good in tankiness. Somewhat good in damage as well. I would just watch out with this one because if you are going with the limited option, it might not be the best investment for upgrades since you'll have them in limited numbers anyways. However, if you are going for maximum greed and treaty efficiency, I would still include this if you're deciding to turn your cavalry into the pop free build limit variant. Just saying. Yep. 6 Corona Horsemen. This one does not grow in cost over time, which I think is a pretty good deal. Cav Combat. Umpakades. Umpakades are a siege trooper. So they deal fire damage to units and buildings. Has a charge attack that attacks buildings at range. So where it'll basically pick up its fire stick and it'll throw it right at the building before engaging, doing more damage at range. And improves the siege damage of nearby allied units. So it's also a support unit too. The Goonie Rams. So these are battering rams. What they do is they have this big, beefy, chubby cow. It's like the chubbiest cow you've ever seen in your life. It's like a cow that ate at the Chinese all-you-can-eat buffet. And it has the cow literally siege the building down with it, while the farmers will use their farming equipment to attack the building while the cow's doing its thing. Pretty funny, actually. And then you have battle wagons. Basically, these are wagons being pulled by a cart that has archers in it and will be good against units and buildings alike. So it's multi-purpose. Now we're on to age 4. Infinite 10 villagers. Here's all your age 4 crates. 8 matriarchs. This is the best one you can get to up your matriarch numbers. Improve buildings. Advanced livestock market. Royal fortifications. Zulu Muthi market. Increases the rate at which villagers gather from herbalist markets by 25%. So that's a really good coin upgrade. Shipment of Ascaris. War Dows. Bow canoes. Can boat. Here's the swash again. These are some big shipments of looters and oppressors. Defense of the tribes. Increases the build limit of alliance units except cattle and builders. Right, so increase the build limit of your trek wagons. Your Okozi, which is sort of a native alliance hero unit that you can add in. And then the Sotho Cavalry is one of the only sort of native units you can hire as an alliance. Basically, so on top of the cavalry that you already get, you can add those ones into the Sotho Cavalry, as we'll see. Big shipment of Vasige, Impi, Ibuthu, musket riders, and then some more for the cavalry. 14 Corona. And then you have 6 Basotho scouts here. Yeah. 7 Upakadi, 4 Naguni Rams, and then just a bunch of bow wagons. You do get a team one too, by the way, so if you want to send them to your old team, you can send this one. Yeah. Alright, so we're done with that. Now you can sort of look at my deck up here and see how I set it up. Basically, I go mostly for combat and economy and matriarchs, and then I provide a few crates. There's no good age 1 villager cards. Actually, there's no age 1 villager cards, so I just go with the cattle, because cattle's not a bad thing to start with. And then age 2, we go with crates, matriarchs, economy, military. I do include all the colonial units because they don't cost any pop. Very nice. And then, yep, basically all these. I do include this one in case of emergency, like if the enemy has an army of skirms and I have all heavy infantry, this will effectively turn your muskets into skirmishers. which is something we had in Wars of Liberty for a while, where the French were able to do that, turn their line infantry into the skirmishers. So, pretty reliable, actually. Yeah. Okay, so let's try it out in a match, just so you can see what it looks like firsthand. We're just going to Carolina. I don't know, we'll play another African, maybe like Yoruba. Yeah, this mod adds a lot of civs, and is currently reworking a ton of the civs too, so yeah. Let's just give it a go, see how it works, right? It's definitely. So here we are with the Zulu. This is your starting building, the Akanda. For the most part, it's just a regular town center. The only special property is if you build one, you get a free matriarch. This wonderful woman right here. Basically what your matriarch does is she just sits around and she makes free units for you. In Age 1, the only unit you can make is free villagers, so that's pretty cool. But later on, you'll be able to look into this UI and configure it to other things too. So yeah, it's pretty nice. And it's not all uniform, by the way, either. You can have one matriarch making villagers, you can have one making spearmen, one making skirmishers. Whatever recipe you want, you can sort of set it up, basically. It's quite nice and convenient for you. Shaka himself is a pretty cool explorer. So what he gets is, instead of having an explorer's like crack shot ability where he takes out a treasure guardian, he starts out with a charge attack of a throwing spear, which will instantly kill the treasure guardian for the most part. So basically he's like a better explorer, because on top of doing that, he does get the standard African ability of confusing your treasure guardians into attacking each other. So he's good. He double dips the chip, right? He doubles dips the chip. He's got the best of two abilities that he can use simultaneously when he's going treasure hunting. So he's like one of your better explorers in the game for treasure gathering, which is quite nice. Yeah, and always make sure when you're playing Zulu, you always check back with your matriarchs and make sure you're not idling any villagers that they make, so you can maximize your eco to the fullest extent that you can. Yeah, most definitely. What you can do is, if you want to get your cattle found up right away, you can build this structure called a corral here. It's basically your farm building, right? And if you build this up, you can ship in some Nguni cattle right away and just throw them onto there while your villagers are working on the hunts. And then obviously later on, when there's no more hunts, you can obviously use those farms with your villagers to gather some food. So it does serve a few purposes in one, which is pretty nice. You can also train Nguni cattle here as well, should you need it right away, for about a cost of 100 coin, which isn't totally bad, but yeah, something worth considering there. What we're going to do now is we are going to look over the card options here right away, just so you know what they are. These are the Boers. The Boers got these two cards, Trek Wagons and also Boer Technologies. So the Boer Technologies are colonization, ships a covered wagon and reduces the cost of town centers. And the second one is the Dutch farmers. Villagers gather food significantly faster from corrals. And basically, if you haven't played the Dutch before, or the British in vanilla, they do get a revolt called South Africans, and it unlocks these things called Trek Wagons. They basically look like covered wagons, and what you'll do is you'll have a bunch of villagers, right, and you can actually throw your villagers into the Trek Wagons, and they'll increase the range attack of the wagon, and then it's basically this big mobile covered wagon that just shoots at units while it's moving, effectively protecting the villagers and acting as a secondary military structure. And then you got the second option here, the Ndemble. The Ndemble have some things here. They got the Ekozi. It's basically a native explorer, kind of like the one that you get with the Nuka, but a little bit different. And then you get their text here as well. Got the Ndemble Omuzis. Ikwanis can support extra population, basically your houses. And Izibongo. The Shaka and the Ikozi can support population. So if you've played Wars of Liberty with the Maori, you would know that the Maori Explorer actually houses population for your army, which is quite nice. that does that here, which is pretty good. And then you got the third age-up option here, the Nguni. Nguni give you a new cattle, the Nguni Prize Bowl, which we just saw in the home city, right? It's basically a food cattle that has more food in it. Kind of like the Wars of Liberty Zebus for the Argentines. And then the two techs here are Nguni Leather Armor, increases infantry hit points. That's actually a really good one. And then you got Sand Hunters. Ships a number of huntables, increases gather rate for hunting animals and the yield from hunting animals. So basically you can hunt the animals for longer while not, losing a gather rate, which is great. Then you got the Zulu themselves. Basically they got camp builders, which you can build for influence. So if you want to build up stuff very quickly using influence, you can use that. Otherwise, you get new techs. All future upgrades become significantly cheaper with tribal alliances. And then Zulu conquests. Unit kills gain an increased XP bounty. So you'll basically cycle through cards. You'll cycle through cards a lot faster the more you kill there, basically. And then you got the fifth option here, the Swazi, which is they will unlock goats at the corral, so they'll give you a much cheaper herdable. Since normally the Zulu don't have access to a cheap herdable like the sheep, this will unlock the goats for you so you can have exactly that. And then you'll also have two new techs here. Swazi Umsimba ships a number of random resource crates to you, so there's a bit of RNG involved there. You might get all food, might get all wood, might get all gold, might get XP, might get influence. It completely varies. And then you have Nadia Volkati, increases matriarch's hit point and attack. So you're less likely to use your matriarchs, right? You're less likely to lose your matriarchs. Yeah. So yeah. Personally, for me, if you're dealing with the scary AI, you should probably just start with the boars right away. That way, if you do need to throw them into a truck wagon and keep them from trouble, you can totally do that, right? So I was gonna mention to you, what do you do to save your matriarch from being raided, right? Because obviously this unit is like gold; it's very valuable. What you can do is you can throw it into the Akanda just like you can a villager to keep it safe, right? So that's what you need to do. If you know somebody's coming in with cavalry, or they're coming in with a mass of skirmishers right up against your TC, throw your matriarch into the Akanda and keep it safe. So that's all you have to do with that pretty much. Other than that, you really should focus on growing your numbers of matriarchs for the most part using cards, and eventually when you can build additional town centers, build those additional Wakandas and start getting them for free from that as well as an added perk, right? So now we're just gonna start gathering some wood now. We put some on wood here. Get some on this. Very nice. Alright, let's get some there. Very good. Alright, so now I think I'm going to get another batch of the Nguni cattle right now, just so we have it available, and we can sell it off very quickly for wood or coin as needed. Right, we're almost ready to age up now. Very nice. I don't want him sniping my matriarch with that explorer there. I'm going to go for... I'll probably go for a battle camp right away, just so we can put up some quick military, right? And after that, we should be able to start acting on the map. Let's pick up this food treasure right away, right? Also, I should have been building my grain crawl here too, because the grain crawl is basically my granary building that improves my gather rate for all the food processes and the farming. So I should probably pick that up right now as well. Right. I'll want to start with the Assegays first, because that's my backbone musketeer that will effectively be good against cavalry, which, the Yoruba Civ has a ton of, including the Iso Riders, as well as a few other ones as well, so we'll want to make some of the Assegays first. And then we'll just want to add some more stuff there as well. And try to build as much of the defense as possible. Let's pick up our village dogs right now. It's very critical we do that. And let's attack that explorer right there. Very nice. And basically, statistically, they have a range attack of about 24. Hand attack about 15. HP of about 185, so they're actually a really effective musketeer. Basically a little bit less tanky than a Janissary, but a bit more damage. So, yeah, in general, it's a pretty good backbone unit for your army, and you should always consider doing them. And we're also going to want to get these matriarchs in as well. Let's find where our matriarch is right now. Where are you, dear? Let's get a house up right away. Let's let her make her last villager, and we're going to want to then start making all military with our matriarchs, probably. Yeah, so let's see where the woman is. I'm trying to find her. Here she is. Alright. Okay, now you can start making my Asigays, because that's what I want to make most of, because that's, again, going to be my range unit. So we really want to make sure we make as many of those as possible. Let's build up that grain corral right there. Build up snares. Start gathering that right away. And let me herd in this huntable right here. Go over here. Yeah. Alright, let me do this. Let me get some more of those over here. Where's my other matriarchs? Let's make sure they're all on Asigays right now, because we really want to stack as many of these as possible here. Now I'm going to make some more Asigays. We want to get as much as we can, so when the AI does show up, we have an answer to them. Because thankfully the Yoruba do not have a early game arch unit. So they should be able, we should be able to basically fight their heavy infantry no problem. Yeah, that's sort of the hope anyways, right? Yeah. So let me get my grain corral over here. We'll get right into combat right away. Let's get some more of these. Yep. So far we have about 14 of them. And the AI is coming forward with the Yoruba Legionary, which you might remember from Vanilla. Works basically the same way for their Civ. Take that out right there. Very nice. What else can we get? Let's bring in some wood. I'd like to bring in some wood right now. Actually, you know what I might do? I might actually start building my stable and going with foreign accommodations right away once I get enough wood. I don't have enough wood for that, so I'm just going to pick up wood for right now. Or you know what? You know what I can do? Because I'm an African Civ, I can go to my crawl right here, right? And then I can sell off one of my cattle for wood, and now I can afford it. Plus I can afford the structure too, which is really nice. So let's put it up right over here, our horse corral, so we can start adding in cavalry. Very nice, huh? Yeah, most definitely. And once we get those cavalry, we'll have a nice hand unit to protect our Asigays from skirmishers and be able to put them in check. So that's great, actually. Very good. Yeah. How much wood do we got? We have about 700 wood. Let's sell off another one, because we need some housing space. We gotta make sure we don't cut down our veal production here. Asigays are already queued up, but we're gonna want to keep the matriarchs away from trouble here so they don't die at the hands of these Oyo warriors here. Okay, so now the Asigays are ready to start chucking their spears into the infantry, and I'm gonna start adding more stuff. Alright, so now let's get in some of these Basoto scouts. because I got the foreign accommodations, they do not cost any population. It's just a unit that I can supplement on top of my regular population as an added unit. So now we're going to throw in more spearmen here and start chucking them in. We're going to take out all this infantry right now. Let's finish these ones off and we should be all good. Very nice. Let's put these villas back onto food. Get some more stuff there. Very nice. Let's build some Masugays right now. Let's build a house right there. Okay, very good. How much influence do I got? I got 200. So these cost about 200 influence, and we're just going to train more units here. Very nice. Let's add some villagers here. Very nice. Okay, let's train some more soldiers here. Okay, so now we got a ton of Asugays, and then we got some Soto cavalry. Right? But now that we've sort of built up a backbone of range units, we can sort of add in some Impi right now, which is good. The Impi are a hand unit, so these will be good against cavalry in melee, as you're going to find. And boy, are they good at. They're very good at, actually, so that'll be quite good. We'll also pick up Ijulunga now to not only add HP onto these infantry, but also give them the absorb ability. So they'll end up making your overall army more sturdy and effective. It's quite good. Most definitely. So, let me see here. Let's get that now. Very nice. So, yep, we're doing pretty good in production. You see here, let's put up another house here. And then we're going to add an herbalist market right there. Yeah. Let me put down an herbalist market right there. Very good. Let me get some coin now. So far, we've been doing a backbone of range heavy infantry and these bazooka scouts. If you haven't noticed yet, they have the stats of the Cheyenne warriors, so not only can they counter skirms and artillery, they can also counter cavalry as well. So they're a pretty good multi-purpose unit. Only weak against musketeers and pikemen, really. So very flexible. And at the barracks, we are going to make some... we could make some Ibuthus, I think. But I don't want to make too many of them. I'd rather just do the Impi. I feel like the Impi overall are a more cost-efficient unit, personally. If I had to guess, right? So we'll do that. And then we'll build a Sanguma hut. So the Sanguma hut is actually where we make our special healer units, right? But it's not very simple for the... Well, how do I explain this? The Zulu healers are really special because they got some special properties on them, right? So yeah, basically. Let's fight all this infantry here. Let's draw out the cavalry, lure in his infantry, and then we should be able to pepper him up enough to make him retreat. Just like that. Perfect. Very nice. Yep, so here are our, where's our MP? Here they are. So, it looks like they did remove the splash attack from them, which they used to have, but overall, I would say, pretty good backbone unit still, because the damage is about 18. The HP is about 182, which is quite good. And we should be able to do some decent combat right there. Very nice. Let's add in some more of these. Corona Cavalry as well. So yeah, pretty much we get the benefit of having 12 Cheyenne Riders plus 12 Sword Dragoons in our army pot free at all times, which is really good. Assuming we can keep up with the influence building rate by training units, which is quite nice. I mean, look at this. We have like a population of about how much military? 10 plus, like around 58 or something. quite good. So, quite a nice mass of troops that we can rely on. Let's add some more vills here. Now, here's the Sangona hut. So, we'll make one of their shamans right now. The Sangona shaman is a very cool unit, because not only does it heal normally, it's got some added abilities too that also makes it a really good healer as well. So yeah, basically I will start moving my stuff over here onto the mine, and then we should be all good. Yeah, most definitely. Let's get that set up. We add some more units here. I'll get some more of the Impy actually. Train some of that. Very nice. I mean, overall, we're holding off this AI perfectly. AI really doesn't have any clue of what to do here, so yeah, we're totally humbling it very well, which is quite good. And now we will bring in the Corona Horsemen for more Dragoons. Here's our Sangoma Shaman. So, on top of... Well, here's the thing. This is how the Sangoma Shaman actually heals. It doesn't actually heal the traditional way. It has this thing called a healing fetish. A healing fetish. So, when I first streamed this, I thought that there was some weird, you know, deviant, degenerate aspect of that. But it turns out, if you look it up on Wikipedia, a fetish is actually some sort of mystical magical spell that has significance. It's like a magical object that has magical abilities to it. So the fetish doesn't necessarily have to be some modern day weirdo thing that you find on some online adult website, right? In the context of this, the fetish is simply just this little doll that heals all your troops in the area. So basically he's putting down field hospitals pretty much, right? Which is pretty cool. And obviously if you want to build another one, you have to sort of delete the one that you currently got and just move it around a bit. So that makes the Zulu a little bit different in terms of their healing abilities. Instead of directly making a ton of priests that would probably cost a ton of gold and using that, you just need one shaman here to build his little fetish, his little magical doll, and then it'll heal up all of your troops just like that. Pretty good. It requires more micro for sure, and you can probably mess it up if you have the priest in the wrong spawn to get sniped, but overall it leads to more efficient and quick healing over a wider area, so it's really efficient. And it's probably one of the few healers in the game you might actually consider to train. Not only because of that fact, it's the fact that the shaman can also fight as well. So if you look right here, notice how it can do a hex. So it can do sort of a black magic hex on enemies, sticking this sort of purplish, pinkish thing underneath the enemy's feet, doing damage to them. So it doubles as sort of like a military unit as well, which is quite nice. Does about 10 siege, 5 hand attack, 4 crush damage, with 16 range. So while not a good military unit on its own, it can certainly get a lot done. For sure, right? And this is one of our newest age-up options here, the Skoza. It unlocks new tech. Zoza Warriors increases infantry attack speed and move speed. And another one, the House of Tozane, allows the Shaka to recruit treasure guardians. So let's end up going with them, and so we can upgrade our infantry a bit. It should be pretty nice. Also, we should build up our royal hut as well. It's a replacement to the African fortress, or the palace pretty much. Allows us to make artillery as well as special units. So it's a pretty strong building to go with in mid to late game to make your more elite troops, which you should probably start doing right away once you can. Let's go up here and put them on the mine now. Very nice. We are going to get place some mines and hard axes to get a bit more on our gather rate. Very good. Yep, very nice. Let's heal this up a bit. So the structure is all secured. Beautiful. Alright, that's looking good. I think we're in a pretty good position right now, I would say, strategically. So that's quite nice. We can make more of these too, so we'll add some more in probably. It's definitely. We'll add in some more of these. And then we can start making musket riders too. So we have a bit of skirmishers added in. Should be good. I'll go about upgrade my infantry right away from the battle camp pretty much. And you can get the African outlaws too, by the way, from your watchtower, just like you could the House or the Ethiopians. So you do get that sort of option as well for military, with the desert archers, the desert warriors, and so forth. I think I'm going to go for Massey Milk to get the HP up on my stuff, probably. Let's get some upgrade here, very nice. How's our eco doing? Very good. Oh, we're doing phenomenal in stats, I would say. Also, this is some of the siege stuff we can make. The Umpakity, the Battle Wagon, and then the Nguni Ram. And then we can also make our mercenaries here too, as well as our levied gunmen, just like we could from African Palace, pretty much. So that's quite convenient. Let me see what I can do here. Try to just build up another house so we can get some more stuff there. Very good. Trying to figure out what to get next here. And by the way, it's the Saguna hut where you get all of your alliance-related texts as well, just so you know. Yeah. I think we're going to go for Zoza warriors now, just so we can get the rate of attack up on our troops. Yeah. Want to get that one right away so we can get some good soldiers going. Let's get some more vills here. Very nice. Let's move our villagers down there. Very nice. We should be able to get some food. Overall, basically the theme that you should understand about the zoo is it's all about getting free soldiers while also using herdable economy here to be the thing that propels you forward, so that you can maintain a constant army of very good infantry for the most part. And then whether you use cavalry as a primary unit or a supporting native unit like I'm using here is all up to you as well. And then eventually you'll be able to add in these very formidable siege units in. They'll give you quite a bit of support. Most definitely. So yeah, it's pretty cool and it's really good. It's a really good civ, I'm trying to say. And in some ways I feel like, you know, it could be considered more economical than the Wars Liberty Zulu, and other ways not. Because with Wars Liberty Zulu, they had this card that allowed them to get their age 3, 4, and 5 farming upgrades for free in age 4. So they're basically able to avoid having to pay for farming upgrades, and even got the Imperial age ones in age early. So they were kind of good economically in that sense. But these Zulu too had their own sort of perks and advantages that makes them, you know, more reliable, I would say. I will get a granary up, grain crawl over there. I'm going to get as much food as I can. Let's pick up our Zoza warriors right now. We'll definitely want that. Also, we should just build our condos, right? So we can get 2 more matriarchs for free, right? Get one here. Put one right about here. There we go. Get about 6 matriarchs then. Overall, we're doing quite good. We're just stacking tons and tons of troops. And it's going exactly as I wanted. Because sometimes when I played the Zulu against the Brits, the British macro would outdo me with the AI, but it looks like I do just fine against this Yoruba. even though they're even upgraded beyond an age I'm in. Now I am going to go for probably the Sotho, so I can get access to the Sotho cavalry. So we'll have yet another cavalry. That's sort of how the Zulu Civ helps you out if you decide to go the native route with your cavalry. Because on top of the 12 aligned Basotho scouts, you can go with the Sotho Alliance, add in even more hand cavalry, so you're not totally left without cavalry options, you know? Game does sort of, you know, gives you good support for whatever you have planned for the match, which is quite nice. Yeah. You know, I might go for, actually. I might go for some of these. Yeah. Let's get some of these support units in. Let's put some bills right here. Very nice.
Ufunani? Ngingasiza. Ngiyahamba. Yebo baba. Ngikulungele. Yebo.
My matriarch up here.
Ngikulungisa isigodo.
Some bills here.
Ufuna ngiyahamba.
Ngikugaloqi akha.
Ngikulungele.
Let me put some more houses down here.
Ngingazi nezokuwenza akha.
Okay, so here we got some Sotho cavalry. The Sotho cavalry are just a dragoon. So they have about 32 range attack and then 3x against cavalry, pretty much. So I would say probably the Sotho cavalry are like a more elite dragoon than these ones are. So you'll probably want to get these if you possibly can. Yeah. And we can make them at the Royal Hut, so it's totally recommended you do that since they do carry a lot of weight statistically on the field. We'll want to pick up our champion infantry once we get enough wood. Or we could just sell off one of these cow now, so we can afford it right away. AI's coming. AI's coming. AI's coming right for us. Let's get him right now. Get right in the position there. We're gonna just try to support this area now. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. So what's the rate of fire on these? It goes to a rate of fire of about... Does the... Wait a second. They have a... the rate of fire on the acid gauge is about the same, but their hand attack is improved. Yeah, most definitely. So is it only like... trying to figure this out. So it's only a hand attack improvement. Interesting. I might have misread, but yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, let's get some of these battle wagons. These battle wagons are really tough units. We'll want those right away. And one thing I should explain about the herbalist market, if you build them in age 2 and 1, they only cost about 100 wood, so they're very cheap. But once they go to age 3, then they gain the functionality of a plantation, so they go up to a cost of 600. It'd be the same cost as an estate. So if you want to build a ton of herbalist markets, I recommend you build them in age 2, just so you can save on them. Save on them price-wise. It's like a really neat little tip and trick I can give you pretty much when you're playing the Zulu. Try to basically build them in the earlier ages so you don't have to pay for them later. It's quite good, yeah. And at this point we should be able to keep attacking quite well here. Sorts of units coming in, so we'll just fight through them. Yeah, funnily enough, these battle wagons use cattle as their unit instead of a horse. So they don't indeed use horses, they actually use cows. Kind of a funny unit, but yep, overall, statistically, they do quite a bit of damage. They do about 44 damage, and they do it against cavalry and heavy infantry. So almost like a rifle rider in a way. Let's go down here now. Do they get the heavy cavalry tag? No, they don't, because they're actually a form of artillery, funnily enough. So they actually don't have any cavalry stats at all. So pikemen unfortunately don't do any multis against them, which is quite nice. Yeah, it's quite convenient.
Sawubona. Kuyini umyalo wakho?
Just trying to make sure. Where's all my dinos here?
Ufunani? Yebo.
So I got a ton of bills here. I'm not even using on the stuff properly, huh? Yeah, I know. Going deep now. I'm gonna get my looters now. Add those in. But overall, I think we're winning, and we might be able to push him at this point. Yeah. Nope, we're gaining a nice advantage on him right now, so we should probably just keep pushing that as much as possible.
Kuyini?
Let me
Yebo baba.
put one on,
Akha. Ngikulungele isigodo.
Ufunani ukuhlasela.
oh man, look at these. These, man, insane. Look at all the troops this AI gets. It's crazy. Crazy. Totally insane. Look at the little purple symbol on the ground. You see this? That's the hex that the shaman that I have does. That means that they're being hexed and being damaged by it. If you see that little purple ring down there, it's not a ring. It's sort of a Zulu symbol.
Ufunani? Ngiyahamba. Ngizohlasela. Ufunani? Ukubiza. Ukulwa.
Kuyini ngizokwenza? Akha.
Pushing deeper now. Yep, so these are the colonial looters. Overall, pretty good unit. It has like 26 range attack, and then the multipliers against heavy infantry, so they do get quite a lot done. So they're definitely worth making. At this point, let's just switch to the Umpakity and just start getting siege. Because I can afford impies now, but I can't afford just like a siege soldier. So let me get siege soldiers with the matriarchs. That's what makes the matriarchs quite good, by the way, is the fact that you can constantly change up what they're making based on your current needs in the match. We'll also make some of these Nguni Rams right now so we can start sieging this guy down very quickly. Might be a really good choice, I would say. Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, we're doing a phenomenal job. I'm trying to get the Rams in so we can finish them off very quickly.
Ngingazi ugaloke. Akha. Ufunani?
Another farming upgrade. Kafir Maze. Some more villages in.
Ngingasi isigodo.
Comes the Nguni Rams. Look at the big cows. Look how big these cows are. Look at these big giant cows. They're like huge cows. They look cute. They look like real cute cows you'd like to have at a kid's petting zoo, honestly. They're super adorable, but as a unit, very ferocious. They have 2 splash, 22 hand attack, 450 HP, And this is just an age 4. In Imperial Age you'll have more. But they notice how they're not cavalry. So they're like they kind of act almost like a semi-cavalry, but they wouldn't suffer any sort of damage from dragoons or pikemen, because they don't have the artillery tag either, just siege troopers. The only thing that would probably pick them apart quickly is like Minutemen, as well as Marines for the United States. Yeah, this is how they look like in siege combat, by the way. So you'll get the cow attacking, right, while the farmer hits it with his farming equipment as well. So it's a really cool sort of unit the way it functions. So he's got a building up there, I can tell, because he's sending stuff in from the top, so we'll have to deal with that as well. It's definitely, so we'll just siege away at him right away. Also, look at the nice designs here on these houses, by the way. It's pretty good looking. You got blue, orange, yellow, red. It's really vibrant. Pick up another farming upgrade, Naguni cow manure. Finish off the rest of the buildings, yeah. And these are basically the Umpakity. So they double as a spearman and a siege trooper, but they also have a charged range attack for sieging, where they'll get close to a building like this, right? And what they do is they will take their spear and they will throw a spear at the building before engaging. So even in situations where you can't go right up against a building, they will still have the potential of taking a building out in mass, which is really good for a siege unit that's melee based, because normally you don't get that sort of privilege for a unit like that. Not only that, because it does fire damage, it also does splash, so yeah, no, it's a pretty scary unit to deal with. It's like really dangerous. So, as you can see, the Zulu have some really cool aspects of infantry that you normally don't see with Civ, right? Normally it's just pikemen, longbowmen, crossbowmen, skirmisher, musketeer, grenadier, but not for the Zulu. They got clubs, they got fire spears, they got cows, they got bell wagons. They're really fun Civ, honestly, and they have even more sort of cool weaponry, I think, than the Wars of Liberty Zulu do. So, on that part, I think they've definitely exceeded expectations. Most definitely. I'll probably just get my big matriarch groups in as well, so we can just max out on free stuff, which we definitely need here. Let's do some looking around so we can finish off the rest of these buildings. Very nice. Let's see where his town center is. Where is his TC? Because he keeps sending bills down here. He's probably up there at the top somewhere. Let's get some of the musket warriors too, just so we have a bit of anti-infantry. And then we'll add in some more of these battle wagons as well. Colonial, yep, we can get the mounted colonial soldiers too. Trying to see where his TC might be, yeah. Somewhere up here. It's gotta be somewhere up in this area. Where else would he be getting all these vills? Where are all these vills coming from? Like, yeah, sometimes I wonder where this AI gets all these vills. He probably stuck a TC up in that neck of the woods, I would assume. So we'll have to go down there and find it. This is the upgrade for the gold, by the way. You got Devil's Claws, the first one, then you'll get other ones subsequently to that. Just trying to root out the enemy here. Okay, so they got Bills up here in this spot. Got a TC around here that they're using.
ukulwa ufuna
Trying to get in a position to wipe
ukalosi
them out.
nezokuwenza
Let's look in this area.
ngiyahamba
Should be hitting my direction very quickly. Yep.
ngizohlasela
Now the AI is already building.
ukalosi ukulwa
The AI is already building. And just so I can explain it now, for Imperial Age, the only thing that you get is the addition of the British. Right, so they can give you, obviously, the arsenal, unlock heavy cannons for you, all that stuff, basically. Nothing great, you know? I mean, if you obviously need artillery, having the heavy cannons can be pretty good, but other than that, you know, I would just stick with going with one of the African-related ones that you get here, I would say, for the most part. So, yeah. Victory is blast. Looks like we won. And there we go. That's the Zulu. Obviously, mine is a very primitive overview, I would say. There was some things that I was a bit mixed up on, conception-wise and memory-wise, but overall, pretty good. So, hopefully we'll get to do a Civ either tomorrow or next week. Anyway, sign off now. See you on the next one.